All right, so we are in session 46 of Descent into Fernia. Who'd like to give a recap?
Well, we were lost in the storm of blackness. We eventually figured out that it's actually just centered around Feanor's ring. So we tossed that out, and suddenly we were able to leave the storm.
Yep.
So
Further
we
the fact that Solomon died for nothing. Not even like a halfway decent payout. Just literally
and then we drove on looking for some place to essentially just hide. I forget what happened at that point.
Oh, go ahead.
We found a broken down car. We found 7 soul coins in it. And then one of the blue masked flesh creatures was under the car, and it crawled out because we ran over them.
Right.
And we fought it. And it was a very tough fight. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And the branded one found a coin that was magical, but it wasn't a soul coin. And we also found a bandolier of 6 magical daggers. And we ran into some people, I think. Ariel DeCaneth, Fitruv Luna from Sarlona.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they were the dead bodies.
We ran into some dead people.
Yeah,
those are dead people we ran into.
Yes,
they had the mark of. I think they had the Croson mark on them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I'm retconning the name of the dude. He's now Huang Cho, because it's more appropriate for Sarlonin or person from Adar.
Lang Cho.
Huang.
He goes by many names, you could say.
So is it Huang Cho or Huang Chode? I just want to make sure I heard correctly.
So yeah, you guys found that so you found their bodies. They were all really badly torn up. The branded one was able to assess the situation and figured that it wasn't more of those masked fiends, since they seemed to be really interested in eating the things that they had killed, whereas the bodies that you guys discovered were just torn apart, but they didn't see very much evidence of being eaten. Also, just the types of wounds that they had received seemed to be more in line with something else, something very large and destructive. So their infernal machine was completely destroyed. It doesn't seem like there's much that can be salvaged from it. But there were those 7 soul coins. Additionally, the bandolier of daggers, a magical coin, and then also a journal that appears to have been written by the Goliath, as it's written in Giant. However, Trebek is able to easily cast comprehend languages so that anybody who wants to can read it. So was there anything else that you guys had done before the session ended last time?
Yeah, I think it took us a really long time to figure out that we had to get rid of that ring.
Mhm.
So, and then combat always takes a while. Although strangely, like I just remember the combat differently. Like it didn't seem that hard because like we only had one of the original creatures crawl out from under and it only managed to spawn one time before we got lucky and shattered the mask on it. So it may be that like Vegna got hit a lot, and the branded one did not.
I remember it like I remember like that many attacks weren't effective against it, or at least they
Right,
didn't.
that was true. In the early fight, we were whiffing because nothing we were doing was affecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Ewan got
the
beat
mask
up
was
pretty
hard to
bad.
hit.
Yeah, Ewan got knocked down to, I think, a third or less of his total hit points. I think Trebek was on his last legs. So, and Trebek did make a comment kind of highlighting the plight that he and the branded one had faced, since their group had faced many more of these things and were not as fortunate as you guys. So
The only detail I have to add on was that Lux performed a burial rite on the dead bodies, and we noticed for the first time that she hasn't been smoking.
oh, yeah, just huge for Lux, since
Yeah.
she's basically token 24/7, hot boxing in the Infernal War Machine, whether people like it or not.
She just seems high on life now.
Yeah, that's it.
One other thing, just to kind of remind you guys of, especially since Tony's not here, is Tony did indicate that Fatala, who was one of the merchants that you guys did not personally meet at the Wandering Emporium, had a fiend coin. And so that was one possible route that you guys had discussed in terms of acquiring one of those for the ritual involved related to the obsidian crown and the scab.
Right, we discussed how that we were going to have to like pull off a heist and burn whatever bridges there are with Michael Hawkins.
It'd probably be fine.
So you guys are currently in the blistering heat of Fernia. Lux has just finished whatever burial rite she's been performing for the party of adventurers who seem to share Crozen's mark. You guys have finished your scavenging of what's in the war machine. Aside from the things that I listed that you had found, there's some food and water, and minor sorts of supplies, but nothing that you guys don't already have.
Do we have a sense of how far east we've traveled? Like, have we traveled far enough east to see land of the south, or do we still see the river to the south of us?
So you do still see the river, but it's once again it's hard to see very far in any direction because there's a constant haze of kind of smoke and ash, but you do get the sense that you're not too far away from whatever change or bend that may be indicated by the map.
What particularly gives us that sense?
Just the way that the river kind of extends towards the horizon. You think that you can see a change that's significant enough that you guess could be indicative of the the terrain allowing you to start traveling south. Particularly because one aspect of the river is that it's not just a river, it's also a large canyon, right? Where the river is. So it has to do with the edge that you see of that canyon.
I think we are nearing London River. I got shit beat out of me by Ring. We should go as far as we can and try to find a place to rest. Ewan is looking hurt.
And we should find a place to rest. Are there any like rock outcroppings like nearby? At least that's what I would tell Trebek. Keep an eye out for something big enough that we can essentially either hide like in a cave or park behind it or something. That one fortress on the map looks like a little cat. That's what I'm looking on the lookout for, the little cat fortress.
Yeah, up to the north there are some rock formations that seem to be like small mountains where you guys are. So that's one direction that you can go. It'd probably take a couple hours to actually get there. But you do see that option in the distance. There's nothing immediately close in terms of major land formations that would be able to hide your vehicle. There's the occasional twisted tree skeleton or a field of maybe smaller boulders, but nothing large enough to hide your vehicle.
Mirage Arcade would really simplify this.
Yeah.
Oh, we need a bridge across the river? Okay, here you go.
It's a great spell.
So I would not suggest we detour several hours out of our way just to find cover. Because we don't know it'll be any safer near that cover than it is down here.
I agree. We should continue on till we find something that works.
I mean, obviously the map does show several like cave-like structures, all of which I'm sure would be a bad idea to drive into.
So then we'll just continue due east until we reach the bend away to the south.
I mean, I think at some point we're going to have to rest, even if we can't find cover. Like we could switch off driving duties between at least 4 of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's Trebek, Ewan, Vagnog to some smaller degree.
Right. And I can drive.
Okay.
But I still think, at some point, either somebody is not resting or we have to stop.
Yeah.
So I imagine we could go, though, until I don't assume this whole area is completely flat. So we could find some sort of depression or huddle up next to the river at some low point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's nothing immediately visible to you guys, but that's not to say that as you start driving, something may turn up.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Is we just keep going east until we reach the bend, and then we can figure out where we can see if there's anything else, and turn away to the south and keep an eye out for things.
See, this is where, given the scale of the map, I don't know how long it's going to take us before the river starts to turn south. And if our plan is just to keep the river essentially on our right-hand side, then I don't know that we're going to realize that we're turning south. Like, there's got to be little bends in the river here and there anyway.
Well, presumably we can see from where we're at, because the river is in a canyon.
Mm-hmm.
We can see that there is just around a river bend. That there is we can see the canyon cut away to the right in the distance. So we're
Right.
close.
And that's where I'm saying, so I guess at the very far extreme, maybe that's true. Maybe the turn is that. But with a real river, and I assume with this one, the turns can be so gradual that if you're just sort of following the course of the river, you might not know. Visibility is pretty limited, so it's not like we're going to be able to see that it's a massive turn miles in advance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still think following the river is our best bet. And it may be at some point we realize that we're at the turn or have already made the turn.
So and that's one of the difficulties with navigating in Fernia, especially because there is no sun or
you don't know what time it is
night
really.
cycle. Yeah, it's hard to tell time, and also it's hard to orient yourself. But the Infernal War Machine does have an internal compass that is oriented to the typical cardinal directions, which are indicated in the map as well. So as long as you have a functioning Infernal War Machine, you can at least identify the general direction that you're heading.
Okay. So I think we're just going to continue to push driving until we are turning south or something goes wrong. And I'm guessing the latter is going to happen first.
So as you begin heading east, there are a couple of interesting formations that might be useful in terms of trying to provide yourselves some cover in terms of resting. One is somewhat of a part of the canyon where the river is. It's kind of like a wide enough sort of path for a bit larger than an Infernal War Machine, particularly your guys's, that can kind of that descends down, almost like it's a path down on the wall of the canyon. You don't know where it goes. If you can kind of see it sort of from the edge as you get closer. So there's some possibility that you can go there. At the very least, you can sit on that road, like kind of beneath the level of the canyon, providing yourselves some kind of cover, and hiding. The other thing is you notice what seems to be, at first it seems to be like a large hill or ridge, but then you notice that it actually is the outside of a crater, which has the potential, if you were to go into the crater, um, there may be some opportunity to hide kind of in a similar manner.
I think we should avail ourselves this opportunity to rest. So whether we rest in the ravine by the river or in the crater, I'm unsure of the difference between the two.
Um, can we? What are they? Is one closer than the other?
No, not really.
I am not as keen on getting in crater. We're harder to get out compared to a ravine next to river.
With a ravine, it's easier to get surrounded. If you get people in front of our passage and behind us, it may also be very difficult to get out. But that said, I agree it could be that getting out of the crater could be difficult just due to the steepness of the walls. So I'm fine staying in the ravine.
Looks, do you have opinion?
On this matter, no.
You could also do some investigation. I mean, you guys don't have any immediate issues that are requiring you to hurry up at all. So you could go and drive by the ravine and see, how it is, or and if you decide that maybe try your luck at the crater, you could go check that out. You can be like, oh, maybe this, maybe not, and then you can make a choice then.
Yeah, I'm prepared for whenever we arrive at one and like a freak storm to come, and I'll have to take cover. But we can, yeah. Let's check out ravine first.
Sounds like a plan. So I'm going to drive towards the ravine.
Okay. So, let's see how I'm going to do this. Here we go. All right. So, if this is you guys, and this is the typical edge of the uh, the canyon, below which is the river. The path it kind of goes down this way, and then it seems to go into the wall of the canyon. So it's continuously going down to about there, and then it kind of goes here, and then there's the you can't tell from where you are if it's a true cave or if it's just some kind of outcropping above it. it doesn't appear to have an easy exit, so it doesn't continue up and then go back onto the level-ish ground that you guys are currently on.
But does it continue on and go down towards the river, or does it just the
So
path
it-
just end at the what might be a cave?
So from like if you guys wanted to actually go down, you could see it kind of, if this is level ground here, then it goes down at an incline until probably about maybe 50 feet, maybe even like as much as 80. And then it just kind of like, it looks like it's just kind of like an outcropping kind of thing. And this isn't helping with the way that I'm drawing this, but it does appear that there's something like here at the end of it, which goes underneath the ground, the level ground. Now, whether it's just like an indent, kind of like where you guys were sitting before, where Branded One and Trebek had kind of sidled their vehicle in a similar outcropping when the rest of the group found you, or if it's actually a true cave and goes further subterraneously. You can't tell from here. So you would actually need to decide to make the trek down to check it out further. But from the edge, this is kind of what you can see.
Well, now that the wheels
it
are drawn on
also-
our car, I completely understand this drawing.
Yeah. I thought this was like we were like driving next to the river and like that makes a lot of sense now.
So I am driving down the path to the outcropping.
Okay. Give me a vehicle check using dexterity. Okay. So as you begin proceeding down, you notice that the ground is not quite stable. There's some rocks kind of spilling, gravelly. Some of the edges, if you get too close, you can feel them kind of crumbling. It's very tense as you're guiding the war machine down. You can continue, but that's kind of, I wanted to give you a sense of the road as you're going down, so that you can kind of get a sense of that. You do, once you get down though to about this point, you do start to see that this is looking more and more like a cave.
So I'd probably say, "Ooh, this is getting very precarious," and then I would continue down.
All right. Give me another vehicle check using wisdom.
That is the worst possible. It's because of my bad wisdom that I just continued on. And yet I did better.
Okay. So using your check, tell me what went well. What were you able to avoid as you were going down?
So this is, I assume this road is just like barely wide enough to cover for the vehicle to drive down on it.
It's a little bit wider than a vehicle, but yeah, it is tight, more tighter than comfort.
So what I imagine is that as I'm looking out, like obviously the width of it's going to vary somewhat, and as we get to like a wider section, so that it looks like it's easier to drive on, I nonetheless continue just like almost scraping along the side of the canyon. And as we go, like the entire ledge off to our right hand side just falls down into the river, leaving yet another path that's just slightly wide enough for the vehicle to fit.
Excellent.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
Be careful. That was a close one. This is you say you drove last vehicle?
Yes, most of the time. Hopefully there's a reverse on this. That will be even more fun when we're trying to drive out backwards.
Svegnak says nothing. And he says nothing and is tight-lipped.
It's unlikely we'll find a space big enough for us to just turn around.
I can stand on the outside. Well, if that happens.
Yeah, I tell everyone just to get on the left side of the infernal vehicle, just in case.
All right. So you do see that it is the opening to a large cave. The entrance of the cave, the height of it, is such that it doesn't really allow for the scope, the viewing scope that Vegnog typically uses, to be extended. And so visibility really is limited to just what is in front with the driver. And as you head into the cave, it is pitch black within. There's no light source that you can see. And it's at that point that you look and realize that the vehicle does not have any source of illumination for the outside.
Let's see.
Which makes sense because devils don't need light.
And it's never exactly night anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably good. We're out of light.
So I mean, I guess I've never really thought about how I assume that like in a car, when I look out this viewing port, I could see some sort of projection of the front of the vehicle. Like it's not just like a flat faced window.
Right.
So I am going to cast on the front of the vehicle.
Okay. So the cave is instantly filled with bright light, incredibly luminescent. And as you do that, you see that there are a number of smaller creatures and vermin that kind of scatter very quickly from the light into the various crevices and shadows that can be found. And you do see that within the 60-foot range beyond, there are several tunnels and ways that you can go within the cave. So you can go forward, but it splits into a left and right, and then there's some. It looks like that even before then, there's an opportunity to kind of turn to the right, and then there's another one to the left. It doesn't look like it's not like worked. It doesn't appear to be worked, but also doesn't quite look natural either.
Which way do we want to go?
Do we need to go further?
Is this cave big enough for us to turn around in? Like 3-point turn?
No.
36-point turn.
As you correctly guessed, Kurt, you would need to reverse back out.
We should at least try to find a wider part of the cave so we can try to turn around. It will be very difficult to drive backwards up that hill.
That I agree with. That is fair. Let's see.
So, I mean, I am probably going to, I don't know which is like the nearest. If the right-handed turn is closer than the bifurcating part, I would take that.
Okay. So, you can hear the metal scraping the side of the stone and ash as you turn, since it is very tight in here, and there's just barely enough room for you to turn, but you're able to do so. And you continue down, and Solomon, give me another vehicle check, this time using wisdom. Okay. So yeah, so you're pretty sure that you're fairly level as you're proceeding down the tunnel. And so how far are you going? Or what is it that might be your goal as you're proceeding further into it?
So, at this point, like you said, it looks like these caves aren't exactly natural, or these passages aren't exactly natural. So, my thinking is this cave is or was occupied. So the ideal would be for us to find a spot wide enough for us to turn the vehicle around and exit the cave so we could go check out the crater. But, absent that, if we hit a dead end, obviously we just have to back it on out of here. And I don't know how to do that because there's no like rear view mirror. So even if there is a reverse function on this, I don't know how to use it exactly. Someone will have to get like up on the roof and yell, and we'll have to go very slowly.
Yeah. Well, once you get out of the cave, certainly the viewing scope becomes available, and
Right.
Vecnog can support you with that. But
Right, but we've got to go back up this tunnel I've been driving down. Now, how far will I go before I decide that this is just some endless portal that just goes on forever? That I don't know. Like probably certainly longer than I should, because that's the way these things always work. But I would probably go for at least, if we don't like reach an end, at least 10 minutes before it occurs to me to stop and we discuss it.
Okay. So each of you make me a perception check.
Nice.
Okay. So the branded one is
How do I die? Yep, how do I die?
Thankfully, it's not that serious. But the branded one is pretty oblivious to his surroundings. He's with his focus being on just trying to guide the vehicle as carefully as possible through the tunnel. However, Vegnog and Lux, both of you begin to feel the temperature in the cabin rise.
First thing Vegnog will do would be to check the soul coin. Check that. I mean, we're moving, so obviously soul coins are pushing through, but just see if there's anything that could be wrong with from the inside of the with the temperature control.
Okay. What kind of check do you imagine Vegnog being able to do to determine that?
Well, presumably there's some sort of light that's peeking through the windows at least. And I imagine that there's an area of the control column or gears or whatnot that is dedicated to temperature control. So I would go to make sure that I would jostle the knobs to make sure that temperature control, everything is that they aren't stuck.
But I mean, which of your skill proficiencies do you imagine would
this would be
support Vegnog in
investigation.
doing this?
Investigation, because I'm trying to ascertain what's going on.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Give me an investigation check. All right. So, based on what you recall of all of the controls when it comes to the internal temperature or the functioning of the soul coins and energy production and all that stuff, you can't see anything different than normal. Of course, I will preface that by, this is a system that Vegnog is not necessarily familiar with, and there may be intricacies that Vegnog is not aware of, but nothing seems out of the ordinary compared to any other time that you've looked it over.
Here is getting hot in here. Temperature control systems failing.
It's you.
I was being facetious. It's getting hotter in here.
Well, it is Fernia after all.
Are we getting closer to that lava river?
I think we've been pretty level.
You also notice when Lux speaks, she doesn't sound like she has her 12-pack a day raspy voice anymore.
It could be. It could be the river. Though I'd expect that would be, I guess, unless there's some sort of cavern inside. But you should just be cautious. Lux, you sound different. Did you get a new haircut?
No.
Uh, Branded one, give me another vehicle check using wisdom. Okay. You do feel based on your the way that you're piloting the vehicle and how the tunnel is going, you do sense that there is a curve to it where it's kind of curving maybe back towards the wall um of the canyon, but it's a gentle curve, so it may not be directly back. And at this point, the Branded one, both you and Lux, as well as Trebek and Ewan and everybody else who may be here but is currently in Mallet space, are feeling your guys's brows bead with sweat. Vegnog doesn't have this problem, but the rest of you creatures of flesh do. It's getting swamp ass like in here.
And how long have we been driving down this passage?
Probably about 10 minutes now.
So at that point, I would actually slow down a bit more and say, do we want to go back? This passage doesn't seem to be leading us anywhere that I can tell. It does seem to be curving, perhaps curving around on itself, but it's not at all clear that it's going to take us back to where we were, especially since it does seem like it's getting a bit hotter. That said, reversing probably will take us much more time than getting to this point. And we only have another 50 minutes or so of light before I have to recast that spell.
15 minutes. I thought it lasted an hour.
50.
Oh, 50. Okay.
I could scout out ahead to see what goes before driving any further. You're
muted.
How wide is this passage?
From your perspective, it's pretty tight.
I'm just wondering if Vegnog actually can get out.
Yeah.
To go scout ahead.
And when I say it's pretty tight, I mean within that sense. The doors to the vehicle are sliding doors, so it's possible that he could get out, but he would need to actually open the door in order to determine that.
If you want to scout ahead, I have no objections to that.
I might as well try. That way we can get a better idea of what we are driving into. So Vegnog is gonna open one of the side doors.
Okay. So the moment that you open it, it's like a punch in the face. The temperature instantly climbs to about 140 degrees, and it is absolutely miserable. The air is filled with acrid smoke that just burns the lungs and causes Lux and Trebek and the Branded one to begin coughing.
I'll immediately close the door.
I immediately crank the AC and angle all the vents towards me.
Well, that was too hot to handle.
I will say with the temperature outside, I mean, the cabin instantly climbed to that high. So it's probably even hotter outside than the 140 degrees. I will say Vegnog, because you're Warforged, your body is a bit more resilient to that sort of thing. So you actually could probably scout ahead still. It would be very uncomfortable. And if you're out there for more than maybe 5 minutes, you might start risking checks for exhaustion or maybe even taking some damage from the heat. But there's still, you still have that option if you want. It's not a total no, you can't do it.
Well,
The other
assuming
thing that you would have to, the other consideration though, sorry, is the branded one has a light spell in the front of the vehicle. So you would need some form of light once you get beyond 60 feet in front of the vehicle.
I have a torch.
Okay.
Ironic lighting a torch in Fernia, but I think I can last 5 minutes. Ahead. I'm going to open the car one more time very quickly and shut the door behind. I will give secret code knock. That's how you know it'll be me.
If you're not back in 5 minutes, we'll wait 5 more minutes.
I appreciate it. And if I'm not back in 5 minutes, then, well, I don't think you guys will be going backwards very fast. Regardless.
All right, so Vegnog, you're heading out.
Yep.
Are you gonna light the torch before or after you leave the vehicle?
Before.
Okay. So, oh, go
And
ahead.
as I see you lighting the torch, I would just at least offer to just cast light on your torch or on anything, any other thing you want me to cast it on, so that you're not at least adding to your own misery with the extra heat.
He would accept light on the torch just for the irony of it. So, yep, I got a torch that is emitting 20 feet of bright light.
Okay. So you open the door. Once again, the temperature in the cabin instantly rises to the point where you can see the shimmer of heat waves from the temperature differentials. Vegnog, you begin exiting the vehicle. It is a really tight squeeze. You are able to get slide past the vehicle, but you don't have the leverage to close the door. So either Lux or Trebek actually has to help you close the door behind you. And then you have to squeeze past to get out. So it's somewhat difficult doing that, but you're able to do it. And then once you get your feet on the ground, you begin heading down towards the uh, the space ahead. Give me. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how ironic would it be, or how amusing if he got like wedged and stuck trying to squeeze between the wall. Like now we can't even back up without like crushing him.
That is an interesting question. How does a Warforged squeeze if they don't really have very much give? Like,
Well, yeah, I
skin and
imagine there's
muscle
like a
does.
squeaking as he scrapes along the side. Gonna have to like buff his chest out at some point to get rid of the scratch.
Pretty much.
So Vegnog, you do get beyond the light of the branded one's spell. And now it's just you and the light of your torch. You move forward. The smell of the air is really acrid. You don't really have lungs. It doesn't affect you in the same way as others, but it is something that you notice. You also notice that the quality of the air has a negative effect on your eyes, in terms of if you were a creature with normal eyes, it would be causing your eyes to sting and water, which is, a Warforged doesn't necessarily need to know those things. So it's interesting that you can experience them. But it's said that Warforged often were made to work in coordination with creatures of flesh, and so their ability to detect that could help their companions prepare for it. But you do begin to hear like an echoing drip.
Is it coming from in front of me or to the side? Okay. How long have I been walking outside the vehicle?
Just like a minute or so. So you've probably, in a minute, your normal walking speed is 30 feet. I don't imagine you're rushing. You're not running ahead. So, you're able to cover like 300 feet in front of the vehicle. Eventually, you do find yourself opening into a wider cavern. And you see that there is a reddish glow at one end of it. As you approach that glow, you notice that the wall or the floor falls away, and you see a large cavern of just a molten pool of lava below, and not even that far below. Like, it's probably less than a dozen feet below the level where you stand, where this lava pool sits, and beyond you can see like almost like a short waterfall of lava kind of filling this chamber. And with that, that there's got to be somewhere that this lava is also going, being released, because otherwise it would quickly fill to the point where it's in this chamber.
Right.
And then over to the other edge of this kind of room, you see something very strange. You see a fountain, and not like a natural fountain or like a magma fountain or anything like that. You see an actual sculpted fountain with water flowing like up and spraying over it.
Is it so? There's this river that's fallen away, and then there's pouring into it. How many feet between the opening of like the part where the cavern opens up and the lava river pool?
So let's go back here. So this is the opening where you came from.
Yep.
Here is where you notice the lava river and the lava pool. And then that kind of leads over to here. There's another kind of path, but probably right around here is this fountain.
Oh, I see. Okay, I was imagining it a little differently, but that makes sense.
And the distance between them is probably 150 feet.
So I would check out the fountain. Assuming that from the entrance where I walked in, it's not so far away. That because basically I want to walk for about 2.5 minutes, or like 2 to 2.5 minutes before like I preferably even shorter than that.
How would you be keeping time, or how would you be tracking? Because like you, as a Warforged, you have a sense of like your internal state of being, your homeostasis. So you're feeling the heat, and it is causing you a great deal of discomfort. So you know the time that you would be needing to push yourself is probably coming up pretty soon.
Gotcha.
Especially now that you are basically right next to a pool of lava, like that, the temperature is increased even more greatly. So the time that you actually have before you start potentially harming yourself is much less than 5 minutes.
Gotcha. Actually, since Vegnon came across an open area, he's just gonna. That's looks like it's clearly big enough to turn around. He's gonna head back to the Infernal War Machine.
Okay. So give me a Constitution save, just because you did get close to that pool of lava, to see if any negative effects befall you.
I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't take any exhaustion, but you do take some fire damage. So you'll take 6 fire damage.
He's on fire.
And also, give me what makes most sense for this. Kurt, what is your spellcasting modifier?
5.
Okay. Vegnag, roll me a d20 plus 5. Okay. So you can see the torch that you have like beginning to spark and smoke from the intense ambient heat in the room. It would have just completely caught fire, but the spell work that the branded one has imbued into the torch has kept it from bursting into flame for now.
So like Vegnag's holding it as far away from him as he can, just in case it like combusts.
And so you're able to get back and squeeze past the infernal war machine and the wall, but you're not able to open the door.
Was that the secret knock? Thought it was slightly different than that.
I guess we'll open it. 50-50 chance.
By the way, Vegnag, are you wearing any clothes?
No. I don't think Vegnog wears clothes.
Any kind of packs or straps or anything like that?
Well, I guess he has traveler's clothes.
You did.
I did have traveler's clothes. Unless there's straps on the shield of the Hidden Lord.
No, those would be protected. What about your sword? How do you carry your sword? Does it have a scabbard or?
Yeah, it has a scabbard off to the side.
Okay. So then that's probably where the fire damage comes from, because your traveler's clothes and the scabbard of your sword burst into flame.
So I'll rip it off, throw the scabbards to the side, throw my clothes off to the side, and try to enter the infernal war machine in my birthday suit.
When the door of the I know it slides. When the door of the infernal war machine slides open, does it like come out slightly? Like a van door would?
No. It's actually fully kind of embedded, if that makes sense.
Right. So it's more like Star Trek doors.
Yes. So as Vagnog comes back into the vehicle, the metal plates of his body have a slight red glow to them, which begins fading fairly quickly after being brought back into the vehicle. And he is kind of smoking, and you see the heat differential as it radiates off of his body. It maintains it keeps the internal temperature of the cabin pretty high until the temperature is able to balance out, and the internal atmospheric controls are able to bring it down. It is still, once again, very hot in here to where it's like you guys are sweating and uncomfortable, but it's not nearly as bad as when the door was open still.
I look for any undercooked meat or eggs we have, so we just cook them on Vegnog.
Fry a couple eggs on his chest.
In the intense heat of the cabin, you hear as Walla Walla begins crying out. It's too hot even for him.
Well, it's undercooked meat.
So what did you see?
About a little over 300 feet ahead, there's a large room, large enough to turn around. There is river of lava. This is why it is so hot. We are drawing closer to it. Also, there is strange phenomenon. In this room, there is fountain with water. I did not investigate closer as I was starting to get affected by heat. But at very least, it will get hotter as we draw closer, but we can turn around without issue.
Hopefully we could just go fast. And I'm going to get back into the driver's seat. Start driving forward.
Okay. So after a few minutes, you see the room that Vegna described, and it is very hot in here. Even now, without the door open, it's probably easily 140 degrees in the cabin. Walla Walla passes out, and it is very uncomfortable, in fact.
Vegnog's going to use this opportunity to try to pet Walla Walla because he's being quiet and cooperative.
Oh, so I actually was mistaken. It's actually closer to 160 degrees. Because I'm looking at what's typical for a sauna. So it's on the higher end, like 160 degrees in the cabin as you get closer to this pool of magma. But you also see exactly what Vegnog had described off to the side. There appears to be a fountain of water, clear as crystal, just off to the side. It has a liquid pool, and in the center, there's a little spout that sprays the water up, and it causes it to kind of arc back down into the pool.
Well, I don't know that we have any need to investigate further. So fascinating as that is, I think it's hot enough for us to just try to get out of here.
Agreed. We are burning soul coins.
I will say, Branded One, since you are driving, and while you're in the vehicle, you're probably the only one that can actually see the fountain at this point. Go ahead and give me well, first of all, are you proficient in perception?
Nope.
Okay. Investigation?
Yes.
Arcana?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an Arcana check and add a D4 because of your proficiency in investigation.
$21.
Okay. So as you're passing by, and I assume that you're pretty much just turning around so that you can go back through the tunnel.
I imagine you can't really see, like there's no side view in this the infernal machine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then I would just be turning around. If there was like some ability to get a better look at the fountain, maybe I would have like circled around it. But once it's on my side, I'm not gonna be able to see it anymore anyway.
Well, I imagine that you're kind of taking this kind of route. So while you're here, you'd be able to see the fountain from that
Right.
perspective.
Yeah, that's about right.
There's also another tunnel over here in case you wanted to do that. But as you're turning and you're looking at the fountain, it's very, very brief, but you see it's not just a fountain, but it's some kind of magical, maybe looking pool or something. You notice, you can see images that appear to be almost like looking into a portal to another place. And in specific, it is places that you recognize as being likely in Corvair, which is the continent where you guys are from. And it kind of, in the short time that you saw it, it probably took maybe a minute to turn because of the speed of the vehicle. In that minute, it kind of may have flashed to a city, and then to another place, and then to another place. All of them seeming to be images that remind you of home.
So I would still, yeah, I mean, I would probably, I guess, pause for a couple seconds, but then thinking about it further, I'd probably just continue the loop and drive on out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I would note to everyone that I can see images of Eberron and probably Corvair. And whether they're images or this is some sort of portal, who's to say? It might be that this is a very useful location if we can gather information on our enemies here, perhaps. That said, the heat makes it a little prohibitive on us to stand around watching even our enemies gathering information.
We still have job to do here. Must say we have to save Jail Duran.
And if we could use this fountain well enough, we might be able to get a better sense of where she is and what is protecting her or what is guarding her.
I just read what Peter put in the chat. Yeah, I was thinking that. that would be
funny to send the email to Tony. Hey, while you were in Mallet Space, they left Fernia, so campaign's over.
Yep. Make a new character.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to give you guys an out. If you're like, this game sucks, I'm done.
We will be
I
interesting.
mean, right. So I mean, I'll wait till we're out. So I'm just gonna keep driving.
Okay. So as you're driving through, it is, it's still slow going because it is such a tight squeeze, but you're able to make it back to the entrance. By the time you get to the entrance, the temperature has become much more reasonable. It's still a bit hotter than is totally comfortable, but it's not dangerously hot. And part of that is probably because Vegnog is still cooling off.
Magnite's gonna try to turn the air vents towards him to blast the cooling system. Taking a page from the branded one's notebook.
So once you get to the entrance, what are you doing, Brandon? One, are you guys kind of just sticking here, or are you gonna make the way back up? Back up.
So now that we're facing the right way to drive out, I would actually probably stop and say, do we want to rest here or do we want to go check out the crater? Obviously, if we come back, we're going to run into the same problem of having to turn around again.
I think we should rest here and be content with what we have found.
I agree. And I'm going to ask to see the map. I guess actually, I don't know if I have anything to write with. We should mark on the map where this cave is. If this is merely a way to see other spaces, we might be able to use it to our advantage. If it is a portal to Corvair, then it is possible the people of Flamekeep could use it to evacuate the people who need evacuation most.
So we're gonna say it's approximately this cat. It's where it's marked on the map. But if you're the one that's gonna mark it, branded one.
Yeah, I don't have anything to write with, so probably can't.
Well, I would say that Vegnag's torch is pretty good charcoal at this point.
There you go. So then, yeah, I would use that to just mark on the map where we found this place.
All right. Give me a survival check to see how accurately you mark the map.
Perfectly. This is exactly where we are, clearly. I'm like in the middle of a giant evil face cave behind us.
This is where we are exactly, plus or minus 50 miles.
Okay. So you've marked the map. What else are you guys doing while you're sitting?
I think we're just going to try to take a long rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. Vegnog's pretty tired, beat up.
So, given that you are very much limited in terms of visibility, you can basically just see right out the front of the vehicle, since you're not able to deploy the viewing scope with where you currently are. Are you guys going to be taking watch, or is there anybody that's going to be kind of monitoring?
I assume we would. Well, I mean, normally I assume we take watch, but our watch generally takes the form of Vegnog doesn't really sleep.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, I would still suggest we do like a more formal watch in addition to Vegnog paying attention to things. So I will take the first watch.
So how are you being alert given that you have such a limited visibility around the vehicle?
So I mean, obviously, since that's the only visibility, I would sit in the driver's seat to see if anything's coming into the cave. Otherwise, there's not too much I can do about things sneaking up behind us unless they're incredibly loud.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm sort of relying on the fact that we're taking up enough space that it would be like hard for them to sneak completely around us. But the door's shut. Hopefully they can't get in through the roof access. It's more that if anybody opens a door, I will be aware of it. If anyone tears the roof off, I will be aware of it.
Okay. So roll me a d12. Okay. Is there anything of interest that you notice on the watch? From your perspective, there's no danger necessarily, but what is the branded one see as part of his watch?
I mean, I like to imagine, since we're basically facing out onto that pathway that leads up, and then below it is the river, that we just see like the masts of some sailing ship. We can't quite make out what the full body is because most of it's on the river. So it's more just the puzzle of what the hell is passing upriver.
Nice. All right, so it gets time to your watch being ended. So who do you pass the watch off to now?
Probably Trebek.
Okay. So Trebek accepts and stands watch. Let's see if anything interesting happens on his watch. Okay. So once Trebek's watch is over, he then goes to Lux and gently touches her shoulder and whispers, "Lux, it's your turn for the watch."
Okay.
And then Trebek finds one of the cots and begins to go to sleep. So, Lux, what do you do on the watch? Where do you go? How are you trying to be vigilant given the limited capacities of the vehicle at this point?
I guess we can't see out the front.
You can see out the front, but it's a very narrow view that you have. Normally you'd have the viewing scope, which would give you
Right, but we can't
360
put that,
degrees. Right. And there are no windows on the vehicle aside from the one in the front.
Mm. I guess I would just kind of find a quiet, an open spot and sort of close my eyes and meditate and hopefully hear with my third eye if anything is coming to attack us.
Okay. So you're really trying to focus on your other senses to
Correct, yeah.
guide you. Okay.
So it's also worth mentioning that, and everyone would know this, that Vegnogs has a weapon that if there are enemies that come nearby, that like within 30 feet, it'll make a sharp ringing sound. So while it wouldn't be foolproof, you know that you guys can't, as long as you're within, your guys are together, that you can't necessarily be surprised by something physically coming close.
Is that an audible sound, or is it just you that hears it?
It's audible.
Okay. How loud does that travel? The sound.
Well, I don't know if it's magical. So it
Okay.
doesn't, like, the red is written. It just says the weapon magically awakes you and your companions within range if any of you are sleeping when combat begins.
Okay.
This is a perfect opportunity to tie that together and just say that the sound it makes is the sound of a shrieking koala. only we did not know that until recently.
That's really what I was getting at. All right, so Lux, go ahead and roll me a d12. Okay. So, Lux, what do you notice as your watch passes and you begin preparing to let Vagnog know that you're going to sleep and to really focus?
What do I notice?
Mm-hmm.
That we
Yeah,
probably don't need.
You have some creative liberty in describing what you notice on your watch.
That there's some kind of buzzing creatures that seem to fly around, and maybe they land on the Infernal War Machine, and then they fly off, and that the koala is extremely gassy.
Okay.
He's hotboxing us.
An Australian oven.
All right. So Vagnog, now it's your turn. Even though you've been awake for the entirety and supporting everybody else, it's really now your turn. Time to be active in your responsibilities on watch. So how are you addressing the limited visibility from within the vehicle to maintain your watch?
That's a good question. I I think that Vegnog would just be sitting towards the back of the vehicle, and alert and paying attention. Pay attention to any sign from his sword, because it's probably about the best he could do without having to get out.
Okay. Roll me a d12. All right. So what do you notice about the watch as it passes?
Looking out, so I imagine like we're from the vantage point where we're at, like we see in front like these cliffs, and we can see the top of them. Oh, excuse me. And we can see the top of them. But Vegnog notices that, sometime into his watch, there was a number of rocks that slid down, and tumbled down the side of the cliff across the way. But there wasn't any sign of what caused those rocks to fall, if anything.
Okay. All right. So the rest has passed with no apparent difficulties or dangers. And so what do you guys do now?
Are we fully rested?
Yes.
Does the ability score damage that I took, is it like a D2?
I
I can look it up.
think it's a D4. Let me just double check.
Oh, it's because it's like a D. It was a D4, and I could split it across however I want.
Healing ability damage. Yeah, it's D4. You can spread it across different stats.
That's not helpful.
All right, so you heal 1 ability point.
Alrighty. I'm feeling a bit better.
So I would, first, I don't, at some point long rested previously, but I would probably, actually probably it's just part of my long rest, since you don't have to sleep the whole 8 hours, or during my watch, just take stock of how much food and water we actually have. Because I don't want to have to create food and water if we have enough food and water, but at some point I'm prepared to cast it.
Yeah, so you guys have quite a bit. You should have about 24 days worth of provisions with food and water, as long as you have access to your vehicle.
Right. Well, I don't see that it would be easy for us to get down and investigate the fountain further. So perhaps we should just move on.
Agreed. It didn't seem like it would be very helpful.
I am less certain of that. Right now, it is showing signs of Corvair or someplace very similar to it. But could be made to show other places for all we know. Just unfortunate that it's so hot down there. I would have to prepare spells to fight off the heat to investigate it fully. Which I could easily do, although they would only last up to an hour and only on one person.
How far down is it from where we are?
Well, it took you a good 20 minutes
Okay.
to get there, though it was slow going, all things considered. How do I get rid of this?
I wonder if there was any way to fix something to the war machine where we could scoop out some of the contents.
The war machine didn't seem to be holding up very well either. It seemed too hot even for a war machine.
And I'm not sure if it's the water that was magical as opposed to the fountain.
Yes, very true.
I mean, maybe at some point we could figure out a way to modify the jaws. But I think that would take some work. Either way, it seems as though we should just drive out of here for now.
Agreed.
And hopefully we don't tumble into the river as we do so.
Hopefully, that would be very hot. Very, very hot.
So I'm going to drive out.
All right. Give me a vehicle check using dexterity. Okay. So you're able to get up safely. Is there anything that you had to adjust for as you're making that climb?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say that as we're getting out, we would probably notice, given that Vegnog heard rocks falling, that the path is now more strewn with rubble than it was on the way down. So it's a much bumpier ride back up.
All right. And you guys are able to make it back up. You're back on the surface that you are familiar with.
Imagine we just keep heading south.
Did you guys want to check out that crater? I know there was talk of that before.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to at least drive around the rim and see if we can see into it.
That's fine.
I mean, Trebek and I are still looking for some fiend to capture to take back to Flamekeep. So we do have to keep an eye peeled. So if we have to, like, I would just drive close and then get out and peer over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
to see like the Baylor standing at the bottom of the crater.
So the crater, it is deep, but the incline from the edge of the crater to the center it's not very steep. It's fairly shallow, so it kind of looks more like a bowl than it does like a really deep impact crater. But it would be a little bit of a rough ride to get down, but not anything, no more difficult than navigating the tunnels that you guys had just been navigating. So it's mostly just rock face, but towards the center there seems to be a pool of, it's kind of like a pool of maybe tar. It kind of bubbles a little bit, but it's maybe not even bubbles, but it just kind of seems like it moves a little bit. And in the center of that pool is this massive boulder. So it right now is the branded one the only one that's looking at it, or is everybody else looking at it as well?
I imagine Vignog would be on the periscope, checking it out. Also, like kind of keeping his head on a swivel.
Okay.
Now that we're kind of in this place that's, there are open spaces on all sides.
Okay.
I would have taken Trebek with me.
Okay. So you guys looking at the boulder, you notice as you move, there's kind of a flash, almost like there's something shiny embedded within the boulder. So Vegnog and Branded One, you guys can give me investigation checks, and I'll let Trebek do an investigation check as well.
I'll cast guidance on Trebek. Oh, never mind. He doesn't need it.
Okay. So Trebek turns to the Branded One and says, "Sir, that looks like a soul coin in the rock, but it seems a lot bigger."
Well, that certainly seems worth checking out. We should go back and talk to the others. But we're going to need as many soul coins as we can get, of whatever size. So I'd head back into the vehicle.
Okay. And Trebek would go with you.
And tell Vegnog and Lux and Ewan that we're going to go down to the crater because we can see soul coins embedded in the boulder, which is surely not a trap. So we'll be fine. Hearing no objections, I get in the driver's seat.
Lux and Vegnog, what do you guys think?
I think I explained the plan when Vegnog was taking a bathroom break. So as to minimize dissent.
Fair.
Okay.
Well,
Wait, were you saying something, Vegnog?
this is a fine plan.
Okay. So the branded one, you begin driving down the edge of the wall of the crater. Once again, it's not so steep that it's a difficult drive. As you go down, you get a closer to the pool. You see that this pool of black goo or whatever probably extends about 20-30 feet around the boulder in every direction. And the boulder is, as you get closer, you're better able to judge its size. It's probably about 10 feet in diameter or so. And the closer you get, you see that the soul coin, it is very large, and it seems like it's only partially revealed. Like the rest of it is kind of buried in the rock.
So is then this rock is in like the middle of the goo?
Yes.
And so like how much of the goo would we have to cross? Well, obviously I'm not driving the infernal machine into the goo. But I'm wary about like wading into it too. Especially only to find that the coin is, solidly embedded in the rock. So we can't get it out.
As you guys get closer, Ewan actually takes a peek out the viewing slot and he says, "That looks an awful lot like the coin Fatala has. I think that might be a fiend coin."
Might be a what?
A fiend
Fiend
coin.
coin. Well, since you need that for your ritual related to the crown, it's probably worth expending some time and resources to get it then.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely want that. We'll definitely need it.
So how big is like this pool and how big is the rock?
20-30 feet around the pool or around the rock. So you have the rock and then like 20 to 30 foot radius beyond the rock. The rock is itself is about a 10-foot diameter, and it seems partially submerged in this goo as well. Based on the steepness and like the way that the crater is formed, it doesn't seem like the goo is all that deep. Probably not more than a couple feet.
There's a
Yeah,
pier.
I still probably won't wade through it.
I'm sure that's what Trebek hopes.
Right. I mean, Trebek can wade through it. I'm fine with that.
Of course, yeah. The plan was.
Trebek just looks at the Brandon one and is like, "Sir?"
Just checking to see. I have to look at what spells I have to see if any of them are useful. Because my other plans right now aren't so good. Like tie a rope around Walla Walla. Tell him to grab the soul coin.
If he makes it back. Hmm.
How big is this soul coin?
Well,
Size of a dinner plate or something?
a normal soul coin is like 6 to 8 inches across. So a normal soul coin is pretty big.
Okay.
A fiend coin is supposed to be much larger, and this one seems to be like a foot and a half in diameter.
Okay.
Could be that this is a trap.
It could be that, I suppose. Though, it seems like this rock maybe fell into this position and created the crater. I don't know what this tar-like substance is. I would expect the trap to be sort of less obvious than this tar.
This tar is a creature.
Oh no. Like that Star Trek episode, Skin of Evil.
That episode messed me up. I was like, all right, when's she coming back? She's gonna come back, right? They're gonna bring her back. No, she dead.
So, hear me out, Trebek. I could turn you into a giant eagle so that you can fly over the tar and grab the soul coin in your talons and fly it back to us.
If that's really the only way, then I
Well,
will do what we need to
there are some downsides to this plan that you may not be able to pull the coin out of the rock using only your talons. And you may not remember why I've transformed you into a giant eagle and fly away.
wait. What?
When I change you into a giant eagle, you will be as smart as a giant eagle, which isn't to say dumb, but it's not super smart either. So it's possible you will just decide to go do eagle things.
I imagine this isn't the first time that Brandon wanted to turn Trebek into an eagle.
For the first time I asked before doing it.
Well, how
I
will
mean,
I remember?
actually, right. Well, that's the thing. Sometimes people will remember and sometimes they won't. I don't know that there's an easy way. You'll still vaguely remember that, you're part of the group, but you might not specifically remember that you're supposed to grab the coin, which is why, like I said, there are drawbacks to this plan. Green woman, can't you just jump over this and land on the rock and grab the coin and then jump back?
Maybe.
Well, problem solved then. You're off the hook, Trebek.
Oh, all right. Well, thank the flame for that.
Now I just stare at Lux.
How far from the coin is the rock outcrop, whatever this rock thing is in the middle of the tar?
It's in the rock.
Okay, I thought, oh, okay.
It's like embedded in the rock.
Okay.
Now, what we could do is, at least as I understand the way your vehicle works, we could be ready to use that acid spitting thing to try to break up some of the rock on one side of the coin.
That's true. The coin shouldn't be impervious to any sort of melting. That would work.
Dustin, are you gonna make it?
Probably not much longer.
Okay.
So, Fagdog, you usually work those weapons.
Yeah.
I think you should probably, we should probably shoot the acid first before she leaps over, since we don't want her to be in the area.
Yeah. He'll get on top, and man the acid bile sprayer.
Okay.
How far away is this rock?
It's like 20 to 30 feet from the edge of the tar.
Which I think is the range of the acid bile sprayer, isn't it? It's a 30-foot cone.
I thought that originally was a 30-foot cone, but then it was increased to like 60 feet.
Don't you have some sort of spectral hand you could send across and try to pull it out?
Oh, it is a 60-foot cone now. Yeah.
I do not have Mage Hand or any similar spell.
So yeah, gonna shoot the acid bile sprayer to douse the area around the coin.
Okay.
Should I make an attack or
Sure.
To see if you melt the coin.
Okay. So the rock does seem to sizzle in reaction to the acid. You can see it steaming, you can see it pitting a bit, but you also see that there are sections of the coin that are pitting as well.
pitting?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
like burning away.
like little pockets of material.
Gotcha. So
Like
then
little pits.
if I see that, I'll stop spraying and kind of let it settle.
Mhm.
So did you cast Mage Hand by accident then?
Wait, who?
Because last game it says you casted Mage Hand. Casted, that's like a word, sure.
I may have hit Mage Hand at some point, but I definitely didn't really cast it. Like it's in the, I have it on my spell list because I could, at the end of a long rest, take it,
Oh, okay.
but it's not
Okay,
something,
okay.
it's not a cantrip that I actually have
Okay.
prepared.
Look at Peter being so suspicious. He's going back and checking the record.
I was trying to see what the other weapon did, but it does lightning damage. I was trying to find something that did bludgeoning. Maybe it'll break the rock up. And well, of course, I'm suspicious of the branded one, so that's goes without saying.
Obviously.
I'm surprised the rock didn't come and attack us when we sprayed acid on it. That's what I was really expecting.
The rock to attack us?
Sure, like that. It just grows arms, flies over, starts beating the shit out of us.
What about the tar? I know what I'll do. I'll take what's the other weapon? I'll shoot the tar with the lightning, with that lightning weapon.
Okay.
I don't have the thing. Do you want me to roll
Yeah.
for effect? Shit, I gotta find
We
it.
can just cast fire spells until we burn all the tar away.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hold on, let me find this damn sheet. Team and grinder.
It's under.
So you spray a line. Well, you shoot a line of lightning across the surface of the ooze, very similar to Ghidra unleashing his beams of destruction. As you do so, strafing the ooze, you can see that parts of it, a little bit of it kind of bubbles away, revealing like a trail of the ground beneath the ooze, but the rest of the ooze very quickly replaces the small amount that was burned away, and then once more the ooze is kind of sitting there calm.
Hmm.
Well, worth the attempt, but still seems like our best plan is for you to do your monk leap over there. Try to yank on the coin, see if it comes out.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'll do. My ring of jumping and jump over.
Okay. I know that you have a ridiculous jump distance. So it's not about jumping the distance, it's about doing it accurately, so that you can land on the top of the rock with solid footing. So give me an acrobatics check to see how well you do with that. Okay. So you make, are you just getting on top of the vehicle? Well, you're already on top of the vehicle wielding the Bahir thing. So are you just gonna jump from the vehicle, or what do you describe how
Yeah,
it
I
looks?
think I turn the ring on and get a running start from the vehicle and run and just jump across and land on this rock.
Okay.
But I would say I definitely, for this sort of thing, unless she just does it before I can get to her, would have cast guidance. But I have to be there, like, to be able to touch her to cast the spell.
Yeah.
And I would have
think
been
you
on
made
the
it as well.
ground when she was up on the roof.
So Lux leaps from the vehicle onto the rock. As you land, you stumble a little bit because it is uneven landing on the rock.
Mhm.
But you manage to save yourself from falling off the rock into the goop. So you are on top of the rock now.
Okay. Walk over to where this coin is.
Okay. So the coin, it's kind of the face of it is kind of angled upward a little bit towards you. It's pretty deeply embedded into the rock. There's like a slight corner of the edge on like a slight arc of it is free. The rest of it is held within the rock, and there's like probably a sixth or an eighth of the coin that's just completely submerged in the rock. It's pretty clear that either this thing was just like similar to cement, just cemented into the rock at some point, or this was maybe melted rock, magma at some point that just cooled with the coin within it, and then however it got into the crater, part of it was revealed.
Okay. I'm going to take that bow staff I have out and reach over and just kind of hit it, just tap it to see how, tight it's packed in there.
It's very tight.
Okay. And then I'm going to take the staff and start breaking up the rock around it.
Okay. Give me a strength or athletics check.
Not strength. We'll go with athletics because I actually have a plus.
Okay. So you begin knocking off chunks of the rock. It's an adamantine bow staff, so it is the best possible tool for the job. However, as you begin knocking chunks of the rock off, they're landing into the goop and making some pretty big splashes. And some of it is getting pretty close to splashing on you.
Okay. I will be more careful. And every time I break it up, I'll test the coin to see if it moves.
Okay.
Like breaking up a little bit.
All right. Give me another strength or athletics check. Okay. This group of swings was not as effective. It might be your footing or something else, but maybe just a harder section of the rock. But you're not able to clear as much rock away.
So if I spent one of my action points, can I swap out one of my spells now as if it were the end of a long rest?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would yell out, Lux, wait, I may be able to help you free the coin. I think I figured out a way. And I will spend the action point to swap out, I'm not sure which spell. Let's see. I'll just give up protection from evil for the moment. And then I will take Stone Shape, which is technically touch range, but I have distance spell, so I'll get within 30 feet, I guess, of this thing. And then I will spend my sorcery points to give it a 30-foot range and begin to meld the stone back. Be ready to catch this.
Okay.
Okay. Lux, Give me an attack roll.
Just a straight up attack roll,
Yeah.
punch or something, or whatever.
Okay. So you're able to catch it. However, it is incredibly dense and heavy, more so than you expect. So also give me a strength check.
A save or just a check?
Check.
Okay. That's not bad.
Okay. So you are potentially able to save it, but it requires you to put yourself in a very uncomfortable position where you're holding the coin, but you are risking yourself falling in to the goo.
Okay. I will guess I'll have to do that.
Okay, so you're willing to potentially fall into the goo to catch it.
Yeah, I got 2 action points. Of course, I'm willing to do that.
Okay. So then give me another strength or acrobatics check. Wait a minute. Did I say acrobatics? I'm sorry. Strength or athletics? Strength or athletics. I'm sorry. But either way, it was a natural 20, so it's not going to change the check.
Okay.
So you managed to do it. You managed to avoid dipping yourself into the goo. And the coin is now free.
Okay. I will, I guess.
As you are touching it,
Mhm.
you are starting to feel very strange. You're feeling a presence.
Okay.
And we'll stop there since Dustin dipped out.
All right. Dr. Sheev.